Today, the 1st of November, the first round of the Feday World Cup knockout event took place in Goa in India, a beautiful part of the world. 206 players are taking part. Each knockout match consists of 2 classical games, and if it's 1-1, then there's a rapid tiebreak. More on that later. There's a lot of prize money sloshing around, $2 million in total. First round losers get $3,500, and then for each round the prize money steadily increases up to first prize, which is $120,000. But more than that, the real reason that so many strong players are attracted to this event is the top 3 players will qualify for the Candidates Tournament 2026. Yep. That's why all eyes are going to be on this event for the next 3 weeks. Top 50 players were seeded through to round 2, but there were still many strong players in this first round. In fact, there were quite a few mismatches, but they can be fun to watch. And I've selected a couple of checkmating attacks for you to look at. In this first game, we have Abugenda, Naji Abugenda from Libya against Yalz Khan Erdogmus from Turkey. Well, you might remember Erdogmus. He is an extraordinary talent, just 14 years old, and he played an amazing game that I featured on the channel in the summer. So it's a French defense. And Abugenda plays the exchange variation, which a lot of people find very boring. I have never found that, actually. I mean, I've played this on the black side, and my feeling about the opening is that it's very delicate, and both players have to step with a lot of skill to make something of this position, or not to be worse, actually. So this is a good system. The knight comes out quickly, threatening the pawn and sometimes threatening this move. So c3 prevents both those moves. Knight b4 and knight takes d4. And black sets up with the knight usually on e7, and the bishop will either come to f5 or g4. And sometimes queen d7 and castles queenside, so it's quite aggressive. h3. Well, you know what I think about these little pawn moves. However, if knight f3, then that could be annoying, that pin. But also white has something else in mind after knight e7. So it could be the bishop comes here. We don't know yet. Queen f3. So, I mean, queen f3 could have been played before. I just don't see the point of h3. I mean, sometimes it will prevent a bishop g4, but obviously not in this position. White is going for quite an aggressive setup. You can see that in some ways the queen stands well on f3 because it prevents black from playing bishop f5, exchanging off this important bishop on d3. Knight g6, but now the counter-attack comes, so this is potentially a problem. In fact, this is still okay for white. Queen h5 isn't too bad. The queen stands quite well here. But white played h4. Now, obviously, if this is taken, then there's going to be some kind of catastrophe on the h file. Bishop h7, queen h5, and so on. Or indeed, just queen h5 immediately. But Erdogmus was very careful here. He played rook e8. Nice move. And if h5, then knight h4, and you can see that queen has run very short of squares. That's a problem. So that's why white played g3. So that pawn is covered. I think we need a think and drink moment. So it's black to play. I could flip the board if you like. Let's look at it from black's viewpoint. There we go. You have a think, I'll have a drink. Black to play. Cheers. Erdogmus seized the moment and played knight e5. Good move. So obviously there's a knight fork. Well, black may as well take that. And now there's a problem, because if queen e3, it's a nice follow-up, bishop c5. If that's taken, then knight d3 check, forks king and queen. And otherwise, if the queen steps back, then knight f3 check, also forks king and queen. And basically that queen just doesn't have a good square to go to. In fact, let's complete it. Another knight fork. Or if the queen comes here, another knight fork. There we are. So in this position, white played queen takes pawn on d5. Okay, seems to sort of keep things together roughly. But bishop e6, excellent move. So the queen has to try and keep hold of the bishop on d3. So queen e4, f5, again pushing the queen. And now a very simple move. Bishop d5, great move. So the first thing is it attacks the rook. But also it unmasks the rook on the e-file so that knight f3 check is threatened. So if castles, then knight f3 wins the queen. So, well, now white decided just to, well, to self-mate actually. King f1, bishop takes rook, bishop takes f5, bishop c5, attacking the queen, and after queen g5, queen d1 is checkmate. There we go, 17 moves. Very nice game. But it just shows how in these seemingly quiet positions with a symmetrical pawn structure, how actually there's a lot going on here. And you have to step with your pieces very, very carefully. Okay, good game by Erdogmus. Now, let me just show you the finish to this game. Let me flip this background, look at it from white's viewpoint. So we're 27 moves into the game. Ivan Cheparinov from Bulgaria. I mean, he's a very experienced grandmaster, and he's playing Angel Cordoba. Not sure where he's from. Sounds very Latin, obviously. And Cheparinov played knight f5, so beautiful knight. Just looking around black's king, also pressure here. In fact, after rook f7, it's in fact still playable for black. But rook fe8 was a terrible blunder. Knight h6 check. If that's taken, then queen g6 and white clears up. And king f8 played, queen g6 threatening mate on f7, rook e7, and now knight e5 uncovering the rook here. The rook switched to the side, and now a beautiful finish, which I'm sure you've spotted. White to play mate in 2, queen f7, and knight g6 checkmate. Beautiful smothered mate there. Fantastic stuff. So there you go. That's round one of the Feday World Cup is in full swing, and I'll be reporting back. It's going to be a fascinating 3 weeks. I'm sure you've got your favourites you'd like to see go through to the candidates, and well, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.